information today, and it's very similar to how Sweep operates, right? So with Sweep, we do education first, and then the coaching and the support comes with looking at your numbers and having professional advice on your particular situation. So these guys have been doing it for years. They're going to share their experience with you guys today, and I hope you guys enjoy. Now, of course, now we're doing everything via webinar, in this current state that we're in. And we're just so thankful that, we can share still great information with you guys. And we encourage you guys to also share Sweep with others, just like how you heard about us through word of mouth or some campaign, or you saw us on social media. It's the perfect time to actually share Sweep with others. That way, the more education we have, the more prepared for this ever-changing economy and stuff like that. So I think we're going to start shortly. So yes, definitely ask your questions. We encourage questions. We'll even be sending out a survey after. The survey is to get some feedback, and we want to also hear from you guys what classes and other training that you guys want to learn about as well. So I guess without further ado, I'll turn it over to Josh Peck.
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. And we can see you now.
Awesome. All right. Well, Pacifico, thank you so much for the introduction. And I was just looking at the attendees, and so there's actually people from all over the world tonight. And so different parts of Hawaii, different parts of the mainland, and even outside of the mainland and Hawaii. So again, it's a privilege to be here this evening. Right now I'm in Southern California. I'm actually supposed to be there with you guys in Hawaii right now. If it wasn't for the coronavirus, we'd be, I'd be close enough to be spitting all over you, and we could be sharing the same air. So I guess it's good that we're not there tonight. But yeah, my name is Joshua Peck, and we're American Money Group. We've been around since we started in 2000, incorporated in 2001. And so basically, we're a family business, and we show people how to do things that are out of the box, things that are not new, but things that will completely change the way that you look at cash flow, the way that you look at paying down your mortgage. And I think you've already gotten a huge taste of that working with Sweep Strategies, just seeing the unique approach they have of basically coming to and helping you pay off that mortgage. Tonight, I promise you, you're going to be blown away by some of the things that we share with you. And because of the limited time we have together, we're going to basically give you the condensed version. And there's actually a lot more information that we'd like to share. So after this presentation, if you stay on, we're going to send you some invaluable information. We're going to send that to you. By the end of the presentation, we always get questions on the thing saying, hey, when can you send me the extra information? Stay on and we'll send that to you. So we've been going out to Hawaii. Hawaii is a second home for us. We've been going out to Hawaii since the early 2000s. My sister moved out there with her family. Her husband was stationed in Kaneohe. And so we used to go out there for a vacation. And we'd go out there. I mean, we got a big family. In fact, let me show you this next slide here. But we have a big family. And there's actually a handful of grandkids missing off that picture. That's a few years old. So in our family, there's 6 kids. There's 5 boys, 1 girl. And Levi, he's the 7th kid. And basically, there's 20 grandkids. I guess you could say 20 and a half. There's 1 on the way, and our family's still growing. But so this is us. We all work together in some capacity. But so we used to work out in Hawaii quite a bit. And basically, we go out there for vacation. And because of our unique strategies, we'd go out there and somebody would say, hey, can you, our sister or friend, hey, can you help so-and-so with this situation? Yeah, no problem. And then they would ask, can you help so-and-so? I know you're on vacation. No problem, no problem. So then our yearly family vacations turned into vacation, and then shorten it a little bit and add a couple days on for work. And over the years, the vacation got shorter, but the work got longer. And now my sister moved back to the mainland, and now we strictly go out there for work. But we absolutely love it. I mean, it's paradise on earth. I mean, you guys are very lucky to be there. It's a beautiful place. And so this is our family. My dad's been in the financial industry world for many, many years, 30 and a half, I guess 35 years. And basically, he worked for a real large firm and very, very successful in what he did. But the problem was over time, he saw other strategies and other products that he wanted to participate in, or he wanted to, to sell. But the problem with working with the big institutions is they'd say, nope, I'm sorry, you can't offer that product. We don't allow it. You know, this is what we do, and you can't do anything outside of that. You're kind of captive to their products. But there became a point to where, you know, their products were just, you know, he's saying like, there's a better way to do this, and they wouldn't allow him to do it. And that was one of the incentives, or one of the reasons why he said, you know what, we need to break off and do things on our own, because working for another institution, he goes, they basically tell us what we can and can't do for people. And at the end of the day, if I want to do this for myself and I want to do it for my clients, but they won't let me, there's a problem there. So anyway, so over the years, we established our company, and we had an impeccable reputation. We've been around a long, long time. And our relationship with Sweep goes back a couple years, and you know, we cherish that relationship. We absolutely love our relationship with them. And so tonight we're going to talk about a few things. There's two things that you're going to hear, a few things you're going to hear me talk about. Number one, when we sit down with somebody, almost without fail, we hear two things. We hear, is this too good to be true? Can I really do these things? Like, is this real? And the other thing, which is a compliment to us and what we're doing, and the other thing is, I wish I would have met you 20 years ago. Okay, I wish I would have met you 20 years ago. So number one, look at yourself in this situation. If you would have started some of these strategies 10, 15, 20, even 30 years ago, how would your life be different today? Okay, and if you're younger and you got time, well, you know what? There's a lot of things to look forward to. But I do have to tell you, most of our clientele are over the age of 55. And so it's not too late for them. You know, in fact, 55 is like the new 35. But at the end of the day, it's never too late. Some of the strategies that we're going to show you tonight, I think are going to completely open your eyes and turn on the lights to just things that have been there but you've never seen before. So here's one of the things that we're going to talk tonight. We're going to talk about how to create a cash flow without buying rentals. I mean, we're going to get to the details of that in a few minutes. But so you have Sweep strategies that shows you, I'm going to show you how to pay off your house as fast as you can. What we do is we show people how to utilize their home equity to increase their loan, or to increase their HELOC, and to be able to pay your house off faster too, and also to create other assets or other avenues of cash flow. So you have two companies that basically teach the same thing, to develop wealth, to create a cash flow, but doing it completely different ways. You know, one's showing you how to do it like this, one's showing you how to do it like that. But at the end of the day, when you marry these concepts together, it's phenomenal. And that's what we're going to show you tonight. So we're going to show you a few things. Number one, we're going to show you how to create passive income without rentals. Okay. We're going to show you how to create a never-ending cash flow with zero stock market risk. And if you have any money in the market, you know what I'm talking about this last month and a half, that the market's been an absolute roller coaster. In fact, it's not even a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster that does flips with a blindfold on. You don't even know what's going to happen next. And a lot of us aren't even buckled in. So it's kind of scary. And then the next one, we're going to show you how to pay off your traditional mortgage faster than the traditional HELOC program. So for instance, that program right now that you're doing with Sweep Strategies, and you're paying off your mortgage, you know, a third of the time without sending extra principal payments. We're going to show you how to do the same thing, but you're going to do it faster. Okay. And we're also going to show you how to create and generate a never-ending cash flow. Okay. So if we take basically everybody in this room, most of you, if I would have said, hey, I want you to write down your top financial goals. You know, what are you trying to accomplish? I would bet money that most of you are going to write on the first line, or first or second line, pay off my home. Okay. Pay off my home, pay off my home. Not, I want to retire with this much money, or, you know, number one, so you might think, yeah, that's probably what I would write down. You want to pay off your home, right? We want to pay that off. We want to become like the wealthy. But now if you think about this, if you come to do your research, if you take extremely wealthy people and you put them in the room, you're going to come to find that most of those people don't pay off their mortgages. So it's not that they can't, it's that they have the ability to pay them off at any time, but they're not doing it. So if we're aspiring to be like them and to try to become wealthy and to try to, you know, shed off, you know, our mortgage and things like that, it's like, if they're not doing that and we're aspiring to be like them, then where's the sense in that? But I have to say that it's actually ingrained in us. And I'm going to give you a short history lesson on why it's ingrained in us, to that mom and dad said, first and foremost, I don't care what else you do, you got to pay off that mortgage. Or grandma and grandpa, I don't care what else you do, first thing is you have to pay off that mortgage. And it actually started during the Great Depression time. So during the Great Depression time, basically it was the largest foreclosure of credit-worthy individuals in the history of our country, which means that there was an individual that was paying their payments on time and they didn't have any lates, But back then the laws were actually different, okay? The lending laws were actually different. So they could go to somebody that was making their payments on time, and they could go to say, you know what? I don't know if you've seen the movie It's a Wonderful Life, but basically, it's during the crash, the stock market crash, and everybody's running on the bank. And they went to go get their money out of the bank, and the bank says, I'm sorry, like, I can't give you that money because I've lent it out. I don't have it here. It's in someone's house and in someone's car or someone's business. But at the end of the day, back then, to make sure that they could fulfill their obligations of returning money to people, they had something called a call option. They could actually go to somebody who's been paying their payments on time, and they can say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Gonzalez or Mr. Smith, I'm going to need you to, I know you've been making your payments, but I need you to pay me back within the next 30 days. Like, you just got to pay me in full. Well, most people don't. That's why you're financing your mortgage. Most people don't have the cash just to pay off their mortgage. So that's why you saw these people that were paying their payments and they had income. They were losing their houses, right? You saw the homelessness. People were moving in with each other. So maybe our grandparents or our parents were moving in with somebody else, or they lost their home, or someone moved in with them. Now you could see after that, they're like, oh my gosh, like, even though the laws changed after that. So now if you go get a mortgage, you basically have a contract with the mortgage company saying, I promise I'll pay you back within 30 years. So they can't just say, hey, pay me back now. Nope, you got 30 years to pay him back, or 15 or 10 or whatever contractually you have with them. But back then it was different. But now the laws are different to protect the borrowers. But back then it was different. So that's why we have it ingrained in us. So if we have, our goal is to become, wealthy and to have that cash flow, you'd think you'd want to do what the wealthy are doing. And I'm going to show you that in just a second here. So the question is that really the right thing to do, is to pay off our mortgage? Should that be our number one goal? Well, the thing is it's not that paying off your mortgage is bad. And we're going to talk about the details in just a minute here, but it's having the ability to pay off your mortgage. That's the key. Okay. That's the key. So we're going to talk about the banks in just a few minutes here. The banks are the absolute masters of cash flow. Okay. They're the absolute masters of cash flow. So, but you think about it, when we think of cash flow, immediately we think of, typically, there's games designed around this. We think of real estate. We think of, oh, cash flow. Oh, I need to go get real estate. I need to go, because it's simple. You buy a piece of property. It's not going anywhere. It's there, right? Somebody can't just pick it up and walk off with it. So there's a piece of, tangible, something you can touch. And so there's something behind it. And you put a renter in there, and it's easy to understand. They're going to pay you rent every single month, and most of the months, hopefully. And then obviously you're going to have a lot of the nightmares that come along with it. So if banks are the absolute masters of the cash flow, which I'm going to give you a lot of the details of how they've become the masters of cash flow, what are they doing? How come they're not running out and buying rentals and sticking renters in them, and that's their cash flow? Banks aren't doing that. In fact, when they get a property back, they're trying to sell it as fast as they can, right? So we're going to talk about basically what the wealthy are doing. And it's not what the average person are doing. It's not what most of us are doing, okay? So I'm going to talk to you here about basically how we show people how to utilize an asset that they didn't know that they could use, okay? So I'm going to I have these right here. So I have a glass of air, full of air, and then I have a glass full of root beer, okay? This is A&W, even though I like mug, we ran out. But so we have our property. We're going to pretend that this glass is our home, okay? This glass is our home, and what we've done is we have two assets. We have, for easy number sake, we're going to assume that our home is worth $100,000, okay? It's worth $100,000. And we also have an account full of cash of $100,000, okay? So, and this is not a trick question, okay? These questions I'm going to ask you are not trick questions. How many assets do I have? Two, okay? Two assets. One is worth 100, even though I owe 100 on this. I owe 100, right? So there's no cash in that. I owe 100. I have it mortgaged to the hilt. I owe 100, but it's worth 100. And the other one, I have $100,000 in cash. How many assets do I have? Two, okay? But yes, if you look at my net balance, basically it's still only 100,000, because at the end of the day, I owe 100. So if I take my $100,000 in cash and I pay it off, I eliminate that, right? Now I have my house completely paid off. I eliminated my cash, so now I have zero. So I had two assets, a house, even though I owed 100 and I have a cash account with 100 in it, I have two assets. And just like that, How many assets do I have now? Not a trick question. It's now one asset, okay? So here we go. Hopefully by the end, it's gonna take just a couple minutes here. Hopefully by the end of this couple minutes, you're gonna have some epiphanies here, okay? So if I have my house worth $100,000, okay, and I separated my equity for easy number's sake, and I put it in a cash account, okay, now I have two assets. I had one, right? It was completely paid off, but then I separated it. Now I have a house worth 100, but I owe 100, and I have my cash on the side. Okay, now let's do this. Let's do this math. Let's see if we can all do this together. Okay, if the housing market goes up 10% and my house is worth $100,000, how much now is the house worth? The house is worth 110. So even though I owe $100,000 in the house, if the housing market goes up 10%, it's worth 110. But now let's check something out. Now let's completely pay off our house. We're going to completely pay it off. We're going to take our other asset. We're going to eliminate it. Now we have one instead of two. We paid off our house. See, that's our cash. That's our equity we put back into our home. Okay, worth $100,000. Our housing market went up 10%. How much is our house worth now that we paid it off? It's still worth 110. So wait a minute. Why is the answer the same? Whether I owe 100,000 and the housing market went up 10%, it's now worth 110, or I completely pay it off and the housing market goes up 10% and it's still worth 110. So the question is why is the answer the same? Is because equity has a 0% rate of return. And equity has a 0% rate of return. It doesn't matter if it's in your house or you separated it. Equity has a 0% rate of return. Now let me show you tonight how you can create a cash flow that you never even had before, okay? Here's a lot of us right here trying to pay off our house. You have our money in the house. We have one asset, right, working for us, okay? It's going to go up and down in value regardless, right? Because equity has a 0% rate of return, okay? But if you're a farmer, right, and you're plowing the fields with your tractor, could you not separate the equity from one tractor to buy another? Could you not get double the work done now? Even if you owed money on one tractor, could you not get double the work done now? Well, you might say, well, but there's a cost on that, right? Well, as long as the cost is going to be under what you're going to be making, then it makes sense, okay? Now watch this. We had our house worth $100,000 and it's completely paid off. We now create one asset and now we create two. Now we have two assets working for us instead of one. So now watch this. The housing market goes up 10%. The house is now worth $110,000. Our cash account went up, for easy numbers, went up 10%. How much is that cash account worth? $110,000. Wait a minute. So now we have two assets worth, you gain $10,000 here and gain $10,000 here. So that's literally doubling what you would have made in with your assets that year. Do you understand what I'm doing here? We're utilizing these assets to create more assets, okay? So now, but you might say, but there's a cost in separating that. Yes, but what's the HELOC cost in Hawaii? Well, right now, you can get a HELOC for 0.75, 1.75, 2%, 2.5%, right? Just say it was 5%, okay? I'm just gonna throw that number in there. I haven't met one person in Hawaii that has a 5% HELOC. You just don't. You have these killer rates, right? So here we go. Housing market went up 10%, worth 110,000. Our cash account went up 10%, worth 110,000. There's $10,000 in each. That's a $20,000 gain. But just say there's a cost of 5,000. Okay, subtract that from the 20. You now have 50% more. You would have only had 10, but now you have $15,000 that you've had in gains. Do you understand? By doubling your assets, by creating another asset, by separating your equity safely and with a plan, you can legitimately have your money and have cash flow come into you like you never would have had before. Hopefully by the end of this presentation, you're going to look at cash flow completely different, okay? So now let's go back to the bank. So how does the bank do it, okay? How are banks the biggest buildings downtown, the biggest and the baddest, but they produce absolutely nothing? Meaning, they don't create some cool car or some cool widget, right? Or some electronics or some cool baked good. They don't have anything like that. It's super boring. All they do is this. And we're going to teach you how to do the same thing, okay? So if you've ever had a checking account, a savings account, a CD, right? It's all in the same boat. essentially what you're doing is when you have a checking account, when you deposit money, essentially what you're saying is bank, I'm gonna be loaning you money. So if I'm making a $10,000 deposit, essentially what I'm doing is I'm loaning the bank $10,000. If I put it into my checking, there's actually a rate of return. So they're borrowing your money. When you put your money with a checking or a savings, there's an actual rate of return. So if you look at your paperwork, where I don't even recommend you looking for your paperwork, right? It's going to be a waste of time because the rate of return is so insignificant. It's 0.00001%, right? It's almost like not even worth talking about. Okay. I've literally just right now talking about it, I've literally burned more calories than I did gaining interest at the end of the year. So really there's almost no return. So wait a minute. So we're loaning the bank money at almost nothing. In fact, before today, just this morning, I looked at Chase Bank rate of return on checking, 0.01. Wells Fargo rate of return on checking, 0.01, with a 10 and with a $15,000 balance. You had to have those to get that 0.01. Okay. So now watch this. It's not a conspiracy, right, folks? It's not a conspiracy. It's genius. Okay. We're going to teach you how to do this. You loan the bank money at 0.001, and the bank says, thank you so much. I'm glad you're happy about it. I'll pay you back at the end of the year. I'm going to pay you that interest, right? I'm not going to pay you payments. There's no collateral behind it, but here you go. But then they say, thank you for letting me borrow that money. By the way, do you need a credit card or a loan, an auto loan, a business loan, a car loan? I mean, whatever kind of loan. So essentially what they're doing is this, right? This is the cool part. This is the genius part. You lend them money at almost nothing. They turn around and they loan your money, our money, right back to us at a higher rate. So wait a minute. I looked up on NerdWallet. It says the average credit card rate was over 17%. So wait a minute. And I had some people during live presentations, they're like, I have had a 25% rate. I've had a 30% rate, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. Wait, so we're depositing money at almost nothing, okay? 0.001, and no payments, no collateral. But then at the end, when they loan us money, we're using our car as collateral, our house as collateral, our business as collateral, our kids as collateral, whatever they want, right? They're taking everything. And then not only that, we got to pay monthly payments on it. So what they're doing is they borrow at a low rate and they loan it out at a higher rate. That's how banks make their money. Again, it's nothing exciting about it, but it's genius, okay? So here's what the banks do, okay? They reap the benefits of investing in real estate without the nightmares and headaches of actually owning the real estate. And I'm going to get to that in just a second here. So the question is why aren't the banks with all the money in the world, why aren't they running out and buying rentals at market price or in the middle of the country, or even if they got a deal on it, why aren't they buying these properties and throwing renters in it, right? If it was the best way to get these returns, how come the banks aren't doing it, right? And they're borrowing it almost nothing. Well, the thing is there's a better way to do it, and that's what we're going to show you tonight. So here's how the bank does it, okay? They loan against property, okay? But if you're buying a piece of property, they want you to have skin in the game. Or if you're refinancing a piece of property, they want you to have skin in the game, right? So if you're buying a property for $100,000, they're not going to get, and it's worth 100, they're not going to give you 100. They're going to give you 80,000, right? You have to put a down payment. They want equity in there to protect them. So here we go. I'm going to show you right here on the screen how the bank gets their cash flow, okay? It's genius. So you have John and Sue that want to purchase this home for $150,000. John and Sue put a $50,000 down payment, right? And the bank is going to loan them $100,000, and it's called a mortgage, or basically it's just a loan to them, okay? So, but every month, John and Sue are going to do what? They're going to make a payment. And if they don't, what happens? Exactly. They're going to foreclose. The bank's going to foreclose, right? So every month they make a payment, and that's cash flow to the bank. So I'd say raise your hand if you have a mortgage or something, but I mean, really, everybody in the room, everybody on this webinar, and we have a good amount of people, is going to raise their hand and saying, yeah, I got a mortgage. So basically every month that you make that payment, that's cash flow to the bank. So you and you and you, all of us, we're all guilty of participating in the cash flow to the bank, but it's a win-win, okay? So John and Sue are making those payments to the bank, and that's cash flow for the bank. But the bank has collateral. So is the bank safe? Well, let's look. If John and Sue don't make their payments, there's 66% equity. In this case, that protects the bank. So for instance, the property is worth 150. John and Sue put 50,000 down. So now there's $100,000 that the bank has a lien against this property. If John and Sue don't make their payments after the first day, the house is worth 150 and the bank loaned 100. Could they sell that house for $100,000 if it's worth 150? They're going to sell it in a heartbeat, right? They can't even put a for sale sign out. It's going to sell immediately, right? So the bank is safe. Now here's a question. When you go to the bank and you make a deposit, does the bank say, oh, thank you for your deposit. Here you go. Here's part of our deed. Here's our, the title to one of our company cars. Here, you own some of our assets. They don't do that. You just loan it to them and you're happy. Hey, get out of here. But you want money, you're going to put up collateral. And that's what the bank does, okay? They have to protect themselves. So here we go. And here's the genius part. The bank uses OPM, which means other people's money, okay? It's simple. They use other people's money. So this is what we're going to show you how to do. In the same equation, right, the bank with their safety, with their cash flow, with their collateral, take the bank out of that equation and put your family in that equation, where the bank sits, getting their cash flow, right, getting the collateral, having all that protection. Put you in that spot instead of the bank. You hear this term all the time. Invest like the bank, be the bank. This is the legitimate way to do this, okay? And we're going to go through a few details in just a second here. So we're going to show you what's called a managed trust deed, okay? So the advantages of owning a managed trust deed is this. The return is 6.75 to you. So when you loan out money to, basically you're loaning it to somebody that goes on a piece of property, your yearly return is 6.75, and that's a fixed rate, okay? It's not fluctuating. It's a 6.75 rate of return. You're in contract for that. And you get paid, if you look at number 2, you get paid monthly cash flow. So just like the bank, when you loan that money, you're getting 6.75 for the year, broke it up into 12 payments, okay? That's how it works. So every month, you're getting cash flow. Usually short-term investments. So the commitment for this is only 2 years, okay? When the bank loans money, their commitment is 30 years or even 40 years, okay? Yours is 2, short-term. And number 4, you're collateralized by a lot of equity. So we're not loaning more than 60 to 65%, which means when the bank has a property that's worth $100,000 that they're loaning on, they're typically going to loan up to 80 or even 85,000. So 80 or 85% of the value. We're not. We're loaning up to 60, maybe 65. So basically, if the house is worth 100, the bank says, I feel comfortable enough loaning you 80 or 85,000. I've been doing this for a lot of years. This is the bank. I know what I'm doing. We say, you know what? We're going to make it even better. We're going to make it even safer. We're only going to loan up to 60 to 65% loan to value. We're in a safer spot than even what the bank is doing. And you have to pay me off within 1 to 2 years. Short-term note, loan to value is really low, and monthly cash flow with a high rate. And number 5, there's no stock market nightmares. So here you go. In the beginning, we talked about typically when you think of cash flow, you think of, I need to rent out and buy real estate, right? Because it's safe, you can touch it, it's there, and it's easy to understand. That's what mom and dad told us to do, okay? Buy rentals. But this is what happens. You own a piece of property, and a lot of times if it's in the middle of nowhere, all right, or you can't touch it, even if you can, you have renters that stop paying, that now you have to evict. Even if you have to pay on it, right? You got skin in the game. You put a down payment, you've been buying this property, you're not going to let it go. So even if your renters don't pay, you still have to pay. Well, then now you're trying to evict these tenants. And even though you put thousands of dollars to redo this property, these tenants have now cut out your carpet, taken your light bulbs, taken all your fixtures. They're way behind on their rent. You know you're never going to see a penny of that again. Oh, and by the way, before they left, it's in the middle of winter, they left the door open. And when I say in the middle of winter, in the middle of our country, I mean, we're talking about sub-degree weather. Not only did they do that, but they also poop in your bathtub. That is our scenario. We have rental properties that we can't sell fast enough, okay? We've had so many nightmares as a family buying rental properties and throwing renters in them. We just got a bill just this last 2 months. We had a pipe break in our property out in Pennsylvania, okay? and we got, our quote was $47,000, okay? $47,000 for a house that has no renter in it because we just got them evicted, cut out our carpet, right? Just stripped our house, our beautiful home on 7 acres, flat, trees surrounding the property. We have gas rights, you know, there's natural gas on the property. But at the end of the day, it's been an absolute nightmare. Then you have things break, and then people are like, well, you know what? That's why I have a property manager. Oh, our property manager is also stealing from us, okay? And that's only one of the many stories we have in being a landlord. So typically when you become a landlord, you become that's a second job to you. I mean, you try it. If you don't have it, it's it's basically when people go to retire and they see our programs, they can't sell their properties fast enough because we're basically doing the same thing. You're utilizing that property to protect your investment. You're getting that return, but without any of the headaches. No broken pipes, no crazy renters, none of that matters. And if they don't pay, we foreclose and it goes into new property. You get your money back, okay? And again, no stock market nightmares either. So your money's not in the stock market. So here we go. There's 2 different scenarios I'm going to show you right here. One is a generic scenario showing the sweep strategy scenario. So when sweep strategy showed you what they could do for you, this was their scenario. You have a house that you owe $300,000 on, and you're trying to pay it off as fast as you can. So we're going to show you that. Then we're going to show you an actual client that we helped create a never-ending cash flow situation and what it actually did for them. Those 2 to 3 slides that you're going to see in just a few slides, I promise are going to blow you away. You're going to stop. You're going to look. I'm going to get messages saying, hey, can you send me a copy of those pages? But what we're going to tell you at the end is that we could actually plug your information into the software that I'm going to show you in a minute to get your specific scenario and your specific numbers. Okay, let's get to the meat. Here we go. So if it's our goal to pay off our house as fast as you can, okay, our home is worth 700 grand. That's like a condo, right? A studio, you know, down in Hawaii, right? That's nothing. So if this property is worth $700,000 and we owed $300,000 on it, and our 30-year payment, this is before we met sweep, was $1,800 a month. Well, making the $1,800 a month payment will pay it off in 30 years. So this is what sweep says. Sweep says, which is genius. Sweep says, hey, come in. Let me show you how you can pay off your house years earlier. This is what you do. If you look at the second step, it says, take your 30-year mortgage and turn it into a HELOC. Okay, you're going to pay off that home. And now HELOCs in Hawaii, you can get from 0.75, 1.75, 2%, 3%. It doesn't matter. Just so you know, I have over 5% on my HELOC, and this program still works. Not as good as Hawaii's HELOC rates, but it still works. Okay, so here we go. So $300,000 is what you owed. You're paying $1,800 a month. Now you're gonna HELOC that whole thing. Now it's at 2%. Your new payment is $500 a month. You were paying 18. Now it's 500. So if you continue to make the $1,800 a month payment, $1,300 a month is going to go to pay off principal. So now you can see by continuing to make the $1,800 a month payment, it pays down your principal. And that's the sweep strategies, right? And there's a lot more details that goes into it. That's the strategy that sweeps help you implement to pay off your house years faster without even sending extra principal out of your pocket. So here we go. So this is what we're going to say. Same scenario. You want to pay off your home as fast as you can, or at least have the ability to pay off your home as fast as you can, because you want to utilize your assets, not combine them and cut your assets in half. So now we take your mortgage of $300,000. You owed $1,800. $1,800 a month was your payment. Well, now if you took out $250,000, okay, you have equity. You took out $250,000. You went from a $300,000 balance now to a $550,000. So wait a minute. You're telling me, was what I'm saying, is we're actually going to increase what you owe on your home, and we're going to show you how to pay it off even faster. You're going to see how the numbers work in just a second here. But now you owed $300,000, and now you owe $550,000. But remember, you have $250,000 that we're going to put into managed trust deeds. Okay. So what happens is our new payment on $550,000 is about $900 a month. Okay, that's our new payment. We were paying $1,800. Now we're paying $900. We still have almost $900 a month, or basically over $10,000 a year, paying down our principal. That's still light years ahead of what you're doing with your 30-year mortgage. Okay. So you're still saving about $900 a month. $300,000, you're paying $1,800. $550,000, now you're still paying $900, but you still make that $1,800 a month payment. You're still going to make that extra $900 a month. Let's see how this looks. Okay. So we're borrowing that extra money, that equity at 2%. The payment on that $250,000 is $400 a month. But now we're going to lend it out at 6.75. What do the banks do? They borrow at a lower rate. They loan it out at a higher rate. They pay off that lower rate at the end, and they keep all that money in the middle, right? It's free money. It's called arbitrage, okay? And that's what you're doing here. You're lending it out at 6.75. You're loaning it out at, I'm sorry, you're borrowing it at 2. After you pay the cost of the 2, you still net almost 5%. That's money that did not exist before you did this strategy, okay? Let's see what the numbers look like, okay? So we're borrowing it at 2. We're loaning it out at 6.75. Our brand new cash flow that we never had before is now $1,400 a month. We did not have this before we did this. This cash flow did not exist, okay? So let's see what happens if we combine our savings by getting a HELOC with our new cash flow, okay? So right now, if we're getting $1,400 a month from our HELOC that we've loaned out, right, in the trust deeds, but it cost us $400. Well, 14 take away 400 is $1,000 a month net. That's $1,000 a month net. Where can you go right now without any of the nightmares in buying real estate? What can you put it in to have a solid 6.75 rate of return and immediately create cash flow that never existed before? That's totally with no headaches. Where can you go with a stroke of a pen and do that? And that's what I'm showing you, how easy it is to do that tonight. Okay. So here we go. There's a couple more slides to finish this scenario. Then we're going to show you the real client. Okay. Here we go. $300,000 at a 30-year. Payment was $1,800. With a new HELOC, we increased our amount from $300 to $550. Our new payment is about $900 a month. The traditional HELOC savings, you're still saving almost $900 a month, which is almost $11,000 a year. So with the sweep strategies, what you're doing right now under this scenario, you're paying down your mortgage almost $11,000 a year, okay? And there's actually more details, right? You're putting your check in. We're not even talking about any of that stuff, okay? But now, let's look what happens if you add the brand new cash flow that you never had, that now you do. It's gonna, that $250,000 safely loaned out on these managed trust deeds, okay? Earning you $1,400 a month is $17,000 a year. Because remember, the column on the left, we're paying for the entire $550,000, okay? So we've already taken out our cost. So let's look at over here on the right. That's $17,000 a year that you net, that you never had before, okay? You never had it before. Let's see what that looks like. You save almost $900 a month by the traditional HELOC savings, right? We now have your brand new cash flow, $1,400. Combine those together, that's $2,300 a month of cash flow, or almost $30,000 a year. Almost how fast are you going to pay off your mortgage with an extra $30,000 a year that didn't exist before, right? So here we go. What you're doing right now is night and day from the average person that has a 30-year, 15-year, right, 40-year, right? They're just going to take 30, 40. They're never going to pay off their mortgage. Really, that's the bottom line, okay? They're sending extra principal payments. They're tightening up the belt. But really, what's happening is you're paying now with the new HELOC program, you're paying off that loan years faster. With this scenario, the better way is you're going to have the ability to pay it off even faster than what you're doing with what you're currently doing with your HELOC program. And what's even better than that, which I'm going to show you in just a second here, is the ability to pay off your mortgage and have a large chunk of cash generating a never-ending cash flow. So I'm going to show you not only how you can pay off your mortgage or have the ability to pay off your mortgage faster, but also to have a chunk of cash that you never would have had before, okay? So somebody's saying, when we have our money, right, we use our equity and we're loaning it out, who's borrowing? Well, there are people that need loans, right? There are people that need cash. So they're using, it's not primary residence, so they're using an investment property, right, or a commercial property that we're giving them the money, and they're using that as collateral. So those are the people that we're loaning to, okay? So somebody might say, well, why would somebody pay such a high interest rate? There's people there's billions of dollars of people paying at a higher interest rate, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so the house that I'm in right now, I used private money. I paid 10% interest, and I paid multiple points and a big truckload of fees to borrow money so I could buy this house. Well, why would you do that when I could just go to the bank? Yeah, I could, and I did. So I went to the bank and I said, bank, I have this property that I could buy, okay, at a steal of a price, okay, and I'm going to use another property, right? I need to get a HELOC on it so I can buy that other property. And they said, absolutely, we can. Here's some paperwork, fill it out. 30 to 45 days will get you your money. I didn't have 30 to 45 days. I had like less than a week to come up with cash so I could buy this property. So did I care that I paid 10%? No, I could have paid 20%. I'm not going to pay 20% willingly, but meaning I would have paid 20% and I wouldn't have cared because it was just a means to an end. I made so much money buying this property, even at borrowing it at 10%. I didn't care about that measly 10%, right? I only had that loan for a few months anyway. So typically this is called private lending or hard money lending, to answer your question. And so that's exactly what we're doing, but we actually do it differently than the other private lenders out there, okay? So we only loan here in Southern California. One, because the laws, if you know what you're doing, the laws are different in every single state. So you have to be very careful. The state of California, if done correctly, is one of the states that favor the person that's lending the money. Number two, the housing market is a lot more stable here than it is in the rest of the country, like Hawaii. When the rest of the country's housing market starts to go down, here's Hawaii, right? It takes a lot longer to go down. Here's California. It takes a lot longer to go down. It's more stable. Also, it's our backyard. We can go and kick the tires on these properties that we're loaning on. So, and the other part that's different, it is fully managed. So for instance, our partners, who I'm going to talk more about in a few minutes, the trust deed company, they are the experts. They've been doing this for about 40 years, right? Right now, they have just shy of $100 million lent out, us together. And what they do is they know the game, and they know the laws, and they're very good at what they do. They handle everything. They find the client. They go through the whole process of why, if they're going to lend the money, what's their exit strategy? Are they going to pay it back? They don't want to foreclose, but they'll do it if they have to. They only want clean deals. They want a loan, get it back, put it in a new deal, right? They just want that cash flow. Then at the end of the day, if somebody doesn't pay, they're the one that forecloses. They take them to court. They take the house back, right? You don't do any of that. It's fully managed by this company. They collect the payments and they deposit it in your bank account, or they send you a check, okay? That's how easy this is, okay? So you have to know what you're doing. You have to know the laws. You have to know the states. You have to understand the properties. All those things are significant when it comes to knowing how to lend. I'm hoping I'm answering these questions, okay? So these next two slides are gonna blow you away, okay? So this is an actual client, okay? This is an actual client that came from us, from Sweep Strategies. And what Sweep did is they did this. They took a client that was gonna take 30 years to pay off their mortgage, okay? And after they were done, they're now paying it off in 10, okay? And this client isn't paying all this extra money to pay it down, okay? That's just not what's happening. And you listening to this workshop, you're here because of Sweep, you understand that that's literally hundreds of thousands of dollars you're saving, or this client is saving over time, okay? Because they're paying it off in 10 instead of 30. So let's look at the scenario. If you look at the top left, their original principal, when we started meeting with them, was $401,000, okay? That's what they owed, okay? They owed $401,000. And they are paying, here's their what they owe. They're paying $4,000 a month. That's what they're sweeping. So what's happening is it's $400,000. They're paying $4,000 a month. So at the end of the year, they've paid $48,000. But remember, there's a cost. So this client had a 2% rate on their HELOC. So it cost them, the $400,000 cost them $8,000. So if they sent $48,000, but it cost them $8,000, really, what are they paying it down? What are they netting? They're netting about $40,000 is what they paid off. So if they sent $48,000, but it cost them $8,000, so they've really paid their house down $48,000. Okay, that's how it works. So then if you go across over here, you see their balance going down. So in this scenario, after 10 years, this client, you see this right here, this client is going to take 10 years to come up with that $400,000. It says $399,800, but it's about $400,000 after 10 years. So after 10 years, they now have the ability to pay off their home, or the sweep strategies, they've paid off their home in 10 years. Okay. So, but remember, what's the rate of return on the equity that's doing absolutely nothing in your home? 0% rate of return. Okay. So let's see what we did for this client. Okay. Same scenario. $400,000 if you look at the top left. Okay. But what we did, if you look right under that 401,000, we removed $300,000 of lazy idle equity that was doing absolutely nothing. It was just sitting there, right? Doing nothing. The housing market goes up and the money's just sitting there doing nothing. Okay. So now they owe 701,000. They owed 400, but now they owe 700. So yes, to answer your question that you're thinking. So you're going to say you're going to pay off their house even faster than the 10 years by getting a bigger mortgage. And the answer is yes. Okay. It's intelligent debt. We're going to be showing how to remove your equity safely and with a plan, not spending it, but preserving, protecting, and growing it. Okay. Let's look at the scenario. Year one. Okay. They now owe $700,000. They're still paying $4,000 a month, which is $48,000 a year. Okay. But now their cost is now $14,000. Remember, it was $8,000 in the last scenario, but remember, we now just borrowed an extra $300,000 that we didn't have in there before. So our cost went up. So if we paid 48, but it cost us 14, how much really did we pay down our mortgage this year? Well, 34. So it was 40, but now it's 34 under this scenario because it cost us more because we borrowed money out. But what have we not? A brand new column that we didn't see before. We now have brand new cash flow that we didn't have before. We did not have this cash flow before we did this, okay? So now we have cash flow. If you look at the top right, we took that 300 and we took that, and now we're loaning it out at 6.75% rate of return. With that, at the end of the year, that created $20,000 of cash flow that we never had, okay? So in this scenario, if you go to the column right to the left of the blue, we originally paid it down 34, but now if we add that extra 20 that we never had before, we actually paid it down $54,000, okay? So if we owed 700,000, okay, and now we paid it down to 54, well, at the end of that year, we now only owe 746. So if we paid it down 54,000, remember, in a HELOC, you can put money in and you can take money out. What's the rate of return on the equity that you're getting? 0. So why on earth would you leave it in there? So if you're putting it in and you're paying it down, yeah, it looks nice. But really, at the end of the day, let's keep doing this, okay? So if we paid it down 55,000 or 54,000 at the end of the year, well, could we not just pluck it back out, add it to our 300,000, which is cash, right? So if you look over here in the top right corner, we originally started with 300,000, but at the end of the year, we took that 54 and we added it right here to that 300,000. We now have 354,000, bringing in 1,990. So basically, after 1 year, we now have cash flow that's costing almost nothing. We now have $2,000 a month coming in with no headaches. Where can you go? What can you do to have $2,000 a month coming in with the stroke of a pen with no headaches? It's cash flow that did not exist before you were doing this never-ending cash flow strategy, okay? So, but remember, if you paid it down to 54 and you took it out, right, now your balance goes back up to 700,000 or 701. But that 54 we took out, we add it to our cash. So now that gets bigger, which in turn gets our cash flow bigger, right? So now let's look at year two. Year two, our balance now goes back up to 700,000. We're still paying the same $48,000 a year. It's still costing us 14, right? And it's actually less than that, right? Because you're putting in your check. The average daily interest brings it down, right? This is the cost if the 700,000 was in for the whole year, okay? But let's just look at these numbers, right? This is conservative. So now we really paid it down 34,000 bucks, but at the end of the year, we're adding another almost 24,000. The year before was 20. Well, you're like, well, why is it more? Well, remember, we took that equity, we added it to our trust deed account, which made our trust deeds bigger, which made our cash flow bigger, which now we can pay our house down even more the next year. So after year two, we had 2,000 bucks. Now we have 2,300 bucks. Okay, after year two. So the question is, let's see how many years it takes us to accumulate enough cash that we could take and just pay off our house in one chunk, if that's what we decided to do. If you look at year 6, after year 6, we have $685,000 in cash, bringing in almost $3,400 a month. I'm sorry, bringing in almost $4,000 a month. So not long after year 6, we have enough cash we could take out and we can completely pay off our home with one swoop lump sum. Okay. So this client was going to pay off their house after the 10th year. Now, shortly after the 6th year, we just shaved off 4 years off of this client's mortgage or after their balance without changing anything by a penny. Well, now let's see this. What if we just said, you know what, we're on the 10-year plan, right? We were going to do it in 10 years before. Let's just stick to the original 10 years, okay? We're just still going to keep doing it for 10 years. Even though we have enough cash to pay it off, let's just continue to do it and see what it looks like. Well, let's jump down to year 10. Okay, it's highlighted there. How much cash have we amassed? Over $1 million in cash. How much cash would you have amassed over 10 years if you didn't do this? 0. Is $1 million a lot more than 0? Absolutely. How much is it bringing in? Just shy of $6,000 a month. Okay. What if we went to 15 years? Okay, you had a little bit more time. We've now amassed over $1.6 million in cash without changing your budget. Okay. By protecting your money with collateral, by having it fully managed, having it protected with real estate without the nightmares of actually owning the real estate. Okay. And now if you look at that 15th year, it's bringing in over $9,000 a month in cash flow. So here you go. This is what the wealthy do. Could you not, at that time, could you not take out $700,000 and still have almost $1 million in cash? Could you not pay off your home if you wanted to? And with that $1 million, you still had $5,500 a month coming in forever, as long as you had your trust deeds. So wait a minute. We just showed you in 15 years how to completely pay off your home, still have $1 million in cash, and have $5,500 coming in pretty much for as long as you keep it in the trust deeds. Where on earth are you going to go out and do that? Where can you get that kind of safety, that kind of rate of return, that kind of eliminating the stock market risk, eliminating your headaches? This is why people say this is too good to be true. Like this just doesn't make any sense. Did you feel that way when you first saw Sweep? Were you jumping out of your skin thinking, I got to see what my numbers look like? Folks, these numbers are real. We do this every day. Did this completely change this client's life? Absolutely. And again, is it too good to be true? No, it's true. And yes, this client did say they wish that they would have met us years ago. But at the end of the day, they met us now, and we're still going to do a lot of great things for them. Okay. So here's the type of funds that you could utilize and manage trust deeds. Okay. You can utilize cash. You have cash sitting there. Boom, you can utilize cash. Remember, there's a plan that has to go around of all this to see what's appropriate for your particular situation. Okay. People ask me all the time, well, how much should I put in? It's like, well, let's see. What are your goals? What other monies do we have? What are we trying to accomplish? Okay. So cash, equity that's sitting doing nothing inside of your home, right? It's giving you a 0. Let's get 6.75. Okay. Qualified funds, which means IRA, an old 401k, 403b, TSP, right? There's annuities that with the state, there's pensions, there's all sorts of money, and all those money can actually qualify that you could put in to manage trust deeds. And that is what we're experts in doing. That's what we do. Okay. So somebody's like, you know what? There's not really much I can do with you guys because I don't really have any of this. I don't have much equity, you know, et cetera, et cetera. We're like, look, let's put a plan together. Then after sitting down with them, we said, you have an inherited IRA. They got it as an inheritance. They're like, well, I didn't know we could use that. Absolutely, we can. That's why it's important to see your situation to see if there's things that you could do. Okay. So there was actually a video here, and the video wasn't working through this. So this was a client of ours, and we did workshops. Now it's been over 2 years, but we did workshops, 2 years ago, and she couldn't come. And so she actually reached out to us and she said, hey, I couldn't come to your presentation, but can you send me some information? So we sent her this email, the same one we're going to send to you after this presentation, right? And she looked at it and she said, hey, I need more info. I need to see what my numbers look like. Okay. So we went through all of her stuff and she told us her goals. And at the end of the day, we never met face to face. It was all over the phone. In fact, we never even did a Zoom call. Okay. This was all just over the phone. And so a year later, we're in the YPO office, with Sweep. And basically she comes up to us with gifts and gives us hugs and kisses. And she says, hey, She said, I'm Sherilyn. And it was cool because we never met face to face. And she just said, hey, this was, you guys, had a major impact. And she thanked us. And she tells people about us. And, but we really appreciate her and our relationship. But here's what she said. Here's some snippets. American Money Group helped me discover extra income to pay down my HELOCs and to pay off my Tesla. I now have extra income that has really made a difference in my life. And we have client after client after client, just like Sweep, that says it literally help them look at cash flow, help them look at their HELOC, help them look at their own situation that they've never looked at it before. Okay, so here's what we do. Okay, so this is how we can help you. Okay, so with Sweep strategies, I'm going to tell you in the next 60 days what we're rolling out that won't apply to you right now because your association with Sweep strategies. Okay, so after 60 days, even if you are with Sweep, you will pay something to have us do this for you. Okay, in the next 60 days, we'll be charging $1,997. Now, for what we did, if we could legitimately generate $1 million in the next 15 years and pay off your house and have all this cash coming in, would it be worth $2,000 to have us sit down and explore and analyze what you have? And if you actually want us to implement it, would it be worth $15,000? It'd be worth every penny. How much are we going to create for you? How are we going to protect your assets? How are we going to make it grow? There is not anything that you can do to come close of what we're able to put together for you. But I will tell you this, because of your association with Sweep, okay, you're not going to pay the $1,997. You're not going to pay the $15,000. But this is what you're going to pay. You're not going to pay anything, okay? So our program rolling out in the next 60, 90 days, this is what people are going to be paying to have us do what we're going to do for you right now because you are associated with Sweep strategies, okay? So I will tell you this, once we start implementing these prices and you are a Sweep client, right now it's going to cost you nothing. But I am telling you right now, if you don't take advantage of what we're doing right now, there will be a significant cost. It'll still be worth it, but there'll still be a cost. But right now, because of your association with Sweep, you're not going to pay the $1,997. You're not going to pay the $15,997. You're going to pay zero, okay? So people ask, like, well, how do you make your money? So this is how we make our money, okay? Well, one, we're going to be charging basically like a tuition to teach you and to actually help you implement these things in the future. But right now, this is how we do it. So when you lend your money out, right, and us and our partners put it away for you under managed trust deeds, you get 6.75 back to you annualized, okay? You get monthly payments, but we're not loaning out at 6.75. We could be loaning out at 8. So we keep a little piece, our partner keeps a little piece, the broker that brought the deal keeps a little piece, right? There's a little pieces, but we work on volume. There's a significant amount of money that we lend out on a monthly basis, okay? So the bulk of it goes to you. So that 6.75, that is to you, okay? There's nothing else that comes out of that. We've already made our money, so we've made a small amount, but we work in volume. Does that make sense? So, and I think that's more than fair. So even if you were to pay these prices down the road, I promise it's going to be worth every penny. But right now, limited time, you're not going to pay anything because of your association with Sweep. So what's going to happen after this presentation? You're going to get 2 emails. One of them is emails full of information, videos, articles, links to even some of the other things that we do. We just literally give you a taste of some of the unique strategies that we put together under the never-ending cash flow methods, okay? So we only have enough time to basically show you we've been on for in an hour exactly here. We have enough time to show you just a little piece of what you could do. We want to plug your information into that software and see what it means for your family, okay? So you're going to get 2 emails. One of them is an email full of information, okay? And it also has something called the confidential profile. It's a front and a back, or it's 2 pages. And basically, it's who you are. What are your goals? What does your HELOC currently look like? What do you have in qualified funds? Are you 59 and a half because you could use your current 401k at work? There's so many different questions that it's going to ask, but it's pretty simple, okay? So it's going to have that. But then what we're going to do is there's also going to be a follow-up email, and it's going to give you times that you could schedule that you could actually go in and click and say, this time is good for me. So you'll have an opportunity to watch video links and do homework. And then we're actually going to take one-on-one time, and we're actually going to take our time and go through your confidential profile and plug your numbers into our software to see how the never-ending cash flow strategies work for your personal situation. Okay. So also the number on the bottom, 909-248-2468. That's our office. But because we're out of the office right now because of the pandemic, it rings directly to one of our individuals in our office named John. He'll take your call. He'll schedule a time if something on there doesn't fit for you. You can also email us at support@American Money Group. But I'm telling you right now, I promise you it's worth the time to take to see if these strategies are going to complement what your family is already doing. So take the good that you're already doing and let us just add to it. So thank you for your time tonight. I know Amy's going to jump on right here and you're going to share a few things. But at the end of the day, we're here to answer any questions. There's still the question box that you're still able to put questions in, and we can answer some of those for you.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This is Amy from Sweet, and I want to thank everyone for attending this webinar. This is something new for us. I'm so used to looking at people's faces. Right now, we have more than 20 people on the webinar, and I can't see any of you, but you know, I see that we have clients from everywhere. I mean, I see clients from Guam, I see clients from California, I see clients from the different islands, and I see clients that haven't attended any webinar or any in-person enrichment classes before. So this is wonderful to see so many clients. So I thank you. I know in California, it's already late. I know it's afternoon in Guam. So thank you so much. What I want to do is I wanted to give you a little bit more information regarding American Money Group, just because, you know, some people may be going, who's this person? Especially people in Hawaii going, you know, he's in California, we're in Hawaii. So I actually had the privilege of going to California in 2017 to vet American Money Group and the hard money lender PSG/Fortunato. So I actually went there and I talked to the staff, I scrutinized their process, and because we want to make sure that before we bring in any instructor to teach our clients, we want to make sure that they have a good reputation. And as Josh mentioned, PSG, the hard money lender, they've been doing this for almost 40 years. And before the partnership that started, I want to say 13 or more years ago, they were only working with investors that had $1.5 million. Now, I don't know about you, but I sure don't have $1.5 million in my bank. So, you know, Frank Sr., who is Josh's dad, approached Phil and said, hey, how can we work together to help Middle America? And that's how their partnership began. So instead of $1.5 million that you have as a minimum to work with PSG, now you can go as low as $100,000. And as Josh said, they can come from multiple sources. But, you know, our enrichment classes, we bring to our clients, because our goal, you know, when you first came to Sweep, and just to let you know, this webinar is only for Sweep clients. When you came to Sweep, you know, you saw what we could do for you, cost you nothing until, you know, you decided to become a client. And so our goal for our clients is to help our clients find ways to increase our clients' cash flow. So that's why we have these enrichment classes. And again, they're introduced to you as education. You are, you know, it's your choice. Again, these are, you know, it's only for education. Everyone's situation is different. And if you need to sit down with an instructor to see if this is a good fit for you, please feel free to do that. So we are here for you to answer any questions, to run your numbers to see if this is a good fit for you. But again, I want to thank everyone, and I want to thank Josh. And also, again, to kind of like reiterate what Pacifico said in the beginning, you know, again, this is for Sweep clients only, and there's so many people out there across the nation that are struggling. You know, I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy, but, you know, I don't know if you have family and friends that are, you know, maybe have lost their job, cut their hours, you know, and so we're here. Please don't keep us a secret, because, you know, while they still have income, we can help them. But without income, it's going to be too late. We won't be able to help them. So we really appreciate, you know, you our clients, talking about sweep, you know, and again, we have clients all over the nation. So, you know, if you have family and friends on the mainland, please don't keep us a secret. So Josh, you still there?
I'm still here.
Yes. So I think I don't want to keep talking too long, just because I know it's late in California, and I know even in Hawaii.
Well, Amy, don't even sweat. I've been staying up late. The gym's been closed. I've been binge watching shows. I mean, if anybody has some good ideas on shows, definitely send those my way too. But I do want to add, Amy, that it's important that if you do want to meet, to register sooner than later for an appointment. We have another workshop we're doing Saturday morning, and we did a presentation earlier today, and there was between 40 and 50 people on. And even before the presentation was over, we had people calling in and emailing, you know, so they can get their slots first. We do fill up quickly, but we will always make time, even if it's out a little bit further. But I'm telling you right now, if it's something that you're even thinking about doing, you know, put your information in, register for a time to meet, and so we can get your spot reserved.
Yes. Again, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Josh.
Absolutely, my pleasure, and I look forward to meeting you guys.